Hey, good afternoon, guys. Welcome, guys, gals, friends, neighbors, acquaintances. Hey, welcome. Glad that you're here. Little noodle. Hey, Art. Thanks. I stuff up hot noodle. Hot noodle for you. I bring long time. I have hot noodle for you. Uh, it's been a weird day, let me tell you. Hey, Megsy and Karen, and I got Tommy and Winston and Lucas and Lynn, West Texas. Hey, how are you? Joe Ray as well. Alex, it's good to see everybody here. It's a little bit of a, as I said, kind of an odd day. About 1 o'clock, I got hit with basically acute onset vertigo. It's really uncomfortable. Hey, Sue, welcome. Yeah, it's something that started about 3 years ago. And people that I have known had it. I always older people. I guess I am older now. But yeah, it's the weird, and then, man, it hit hard. So I'm a little, I'm spinning a little bit today. Perhaps that's the nature of the noodles today, is just to kind of a little bit of spinning. So if I seem a little unusual or not myself, that's that's what I'm claiming anyway. I'm saying that it's vertigo because it's yeah, even sitting here, it's like the room is spinning, so it's really an odd sensation. So it kind of feels like motion sickness while you're sitting still. It's very uncomfortable. Anyway, welcome to everyone, and glad to see you back again. We've got an interesting stream for you today. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. I had been, I don't get a chance to listen to too many folks' other streams. I try, but my bandwidth is kind of narrow these days. I'm got so many things going on, juggling and trying to make a bunch of things happen, and I'm trying desperately to get the data from the original. What kind of started this whole thing is the Awakening Project, and so just trying to clean up some of that and make some charts and some information that makes sense for people, so I can kind of start spreading that and getting ready for phase 2. I had hoped to do it this summer, but everything took a hard left turn, so it probably will be around the first of the year before we begin phase 2. But we should learn a great deal just from phase 1 and the information there. So we got that going on, and then also have been feeling more and more nudged to take a look at trying to, tribe up and get together with people and, see if we can find a place to do life together as much as is left available to us. So that's increasingly taking time to try to look at that. I've gotten a lot of interest from people in that sort of thing, and I appreciate that very much. And I know that there's kind of a sense of urgency to it. Everybody's sort of like, hey, there's when are we doing this? I'm like, man, if I could snap my fingers and make it go, I absolutely would. There's a lot to be considered. Some easy physical therapy. I've seen some of it. My wife has pointed me to some. If you want to send that along, West Texas, I would love that. Typically, they don't last real long, usually less than 48 hours, but sometimes I've had it last as long as 3 or 4 days. So you can reach out to me at unintended.consequences3@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear from you. And if there's a way to stop it, I'd be down with that. Some of the stuff that I have know, again, it has to do with the cochlea, right, the inner ear. And anyway, so enough about that. So yeah, we've got trying to take a look at seeing if we can tribe up, and there's a lot involved in that. So I would love to snap my fingers and wave a magic wand. Unfortunately, I haven't won the lottery yet, probably because I don't play it, but. But if there were a way to make that happen, I'm certainly spending quite a bit of time talking to Dad about it and saying, hey, show me the way here, tell me what to do. So definitely looking for ideas and opportunities there. Got some folks continuing to look for properties. We found a couple that are great. Just of course, we don't have the money for that, and I'm uncomfortable in asking people for money, especially a lot of it. So it's just not what this is about, right? Anyway, but if we can find a way to get in with sweat equity, to see what we can do, that would be super great. All right, so today I have teased a special guest, and again, I got this idea from a friend of mine, and he had reached out and talked to some interesting folks, and I thought, hey, this would be a great idea for me too. What he had done was to kind of reached out to a couple of interesting biblical characters and had them join him for his live stream. And I thought, hey, that's a terrific idea. But I've seen what happens if you try to get the dead ones, right? The necromancy thing is pretty weird. King Saul had a bad experience with it, so I had to limit myself to those who were still alive. And that left two, Enoch and Elijah. And Enoch was tough to get a hold of. He's very esoteric, and I just don't have all the stuff together for that. But I did manage to get in touch with another guy. So let's see, I got to do this just right. A little eye of newt and some salt and a little bit of oil here. And let's see if we can get this connection going. We're going to try to reach out to... Hang on. Let's see if we can get this going here. That's tough. Hey, I was looking for Elijah. Are you there?
You got Elijah, man. What's going on?
Dude, it worked.
How'd you get this number? Right. I'm unlisted.
I know. It took, I have friends. Hey, this is the Great Baldini. So I was curious as to, well, you've seen a lot, and so I had some questions, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'm sure you're going to start with that, what do you guys call it? Raptors? I mean, I don't even know why you guys call it that. We didn't even have a word raptor, or was it rapture?
Yeah,
raptor.
Well, the flaming chariot sort of thing. Yeah, I was very curious about that.
Because this rapture, it's a made-up word, made-up animal. So no, we didn't have a word for like that in the in those days.
Okay.
But it's not all fun and games. I do a lot of work too. I got to come back around Passover here.
Oh, and, yeah. You get a lot of food. It's kind of like a buffet.
Oh, no, they really don't feed me. They just give me wine. Talk about getting drunk. So, like, I'm walking around, I'm not eating anything, and I got to go to everyone's house. Even if you do just a little sip, just a tiny sip, you still get just, like, plastered, I get chased by dogs, and I set off those Ring doorbells now. It's cool. I look like an orb, so nobody notices. But, it's hard to get in there, man.
Mazel tov. Well, I think your cover's blown. The folks in the chat have already figured out that it's actually Ceiling Fan Man.
Well, wait a minute. I got to explain something, guys. This guy calls me 15 minutes before and says, hey, I'd like to do this idea. So I have been researching. I got about 15 minutes of
material.
Yeah, I might end up putting it in a video now. But,
okay.
Yeah.
See what happens when you get vertigo? Everything's it's all mixed up. To quote a Cars song. Anyway, Richard, hey man, thanks so much for joining us today. It's a delight to talk to you, as it always is. Richard and I have been, I'm sorry, Ceiling Fan Man. Yeah, blew your cover again, but I'm not the first one. We've been chatting offline for a couple of weeks now. Just common interest, and we actually live not too far from each other. We got to meet with the infamous Ted Summer, just briefly anyway, during a meetup some months ago. I was only able to stop by for a few minutes, but I got to meet some folks, and Ceiling Fan Man was among them. And he's a terrific guy, and we have some similar interests. So welcome, Ceiling Fan Man. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
I've been practicing all day my soft voice, because the way you and Wayne do this, I wanted to actually kind of slide in and not mess up. So. Oh, dude. And I'm coming up with my own quotes, because if anybody doesn't realize, this man that I'm talking to, he has so many quotes. It's crazy. Every stream there's about a dozen. So I can't think that quickly like that. So I've come up with one.
Okay.
And I'm probably just make it my tagline if I can.
Okay.
And it's always put on your own socks whenever possible. What do you think?
I like it. Well, it's certainly there's wisdom there, because you don't want to put on somebody else's socks. But no, that's good. It's funny because I sneak around, and I sometimes find my quotes everywhere. I forget that I said it until I read it, and I'm like, oh, hey, I know who said that. I saw one today. I think it was Greg May on, sorry, I don't mean to bust people, on Facebook. I saw this. It said, it was from actually this morning, or I think it was. I said, we were talking specifically about the nature of the things around us, and the coming digital currency. and talking about that, I pointed out that this the quote is, and I saw he posted this. This is a battle for the soul, a spiritual battle, a spiritual war for the hearts and minds of people. That's actually true. And I was like, hey, I think I've heard that. And I was like, oh yeah, I said that. It's fun stuff. So yes, I noted that you have a Twitter account now for things that I randomly say that I forget that I say, but you write them down and put them out. So I love that. Thank you so much, Ceiling Fan Man.
You know what? Here's the thing. It's completely all my wife's idea. She thought of it because I was saying them and writing them down, and she's like, well, we need to just start putting them on index cards and have them like in a room in our house, or something. And then she decided to put them on Twitter and share them with everyone. And like you said, it's funny because you'll say, oh yeah, I did say that.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, hey, that's pretty good. I'll use that again. There are some that I say, over and over because they are maxims for me, right? So like I'll say, if love is not the motive, God is not involved. Right, that's one that I keep reminding myself of because it's helpful for me. And there are some that just kind of, are all things because I'll notice them, right? So things like the higher the education, the deeper the indoctrination, right? These things become apparent over time. And so there are ways I can kind of, put it in there more quickly. But there are some of them, they just, they're what I call rectal extractions. I just pull them right out of my ass.
Nice.
But you get to clean them off and polish them up and send them out to the world. So I appreciate that.
Well, I actually, the last 2 videos I've done, I put, at least that one I did where I played 3 characters. A lot of what they said were some of the quotes that I'd heard you say. And it just, I don't know, that's, I guess why we're talking is because somehow we got to talking together and what you say resonates with me. And you say some of the same things that I've been saying like forever. And that whole thing that you went on to a talk about God and your vision of when he was by himself and how lonely that was. And it's like, I've talked about that my whole life because I've always said the one thing that you can't give yourself is a hug. You need someone else. Yeah. You can do everything else for yourself, but you can't give a hug to yourself. You could try, but it doesn't feel the same. And so when I used that methodology, when I got my relationship with God, I was like, do I want to know like the purpose of life? Well, if what do I give? What do I have to offer? Once I found that God's there and he's taking care of us with love. I love how you describe he's just pure love. And once I figured that out, what can you get someone? It's like, what do you get the guy that has everything? There's nothing I could possibly think or do or say that he can't just do or say or whatever thing. He put the thoughts in it, whatever. He can do whatever he wants. What's the one thing he can't? He can't get my friendship unless I give it. So that's the one gift we can give God. Yeah. Is if we find out he's there, we can give him our love back. And that's what this whole craziness is about, is just figuring that out. Because it's the only thing we can give. Yeah. And it's beautiful.
Our time, and our relationship, and ultimately, our love. When we get to know him, I think, I think like all relationships, love at the outset may be, a little, I don't know, I'll say difficult or weird because you don't really know him. But once you do know him, the only response that I have is love and awe. And I guess reverence. There's a bunch of different things that when you encounter the Creator. Of course, mine. When I encountered the Creator like in person, it scared me to death. I thought he was gonna kill me. That's true. That's a true story. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? Like, what did I do? I'm dead. And then I was very surprised that he was. Very, very kind and compassionate, but also kind of scary. Kind of scary. So
it's just say about that. There's 2 things that, if you don't mind, I'd like to touch on. One of them is the is that whole thing. When I discovered God as a real thing in my life, I started wondering, well, who am I talking to? Am I talking to Jesus? Am I talking to God? In the end, it doesn't matter because, you're still just talking to God. But I feel like, wait, is this one prayer important enough? He's kind of busy. Maybe I should go to the supervisor or whatever Jesus is, before you get to God. And but I never really wasn't sure. And the thing about finding spirituality, because I'm not religious. A
Thank
famous
God.
person I know said famously, the only labels should be on soup cans and not
I think I've heard that
something like
before.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I listed it.
Labels are for soup
But
cans. Yeah, right.
yeah, because they've called me different things growing up. Because I was Jewish at one time, and now I don't know what I am. I'm supposed to be Christian, but I don't buy into that either. Because religious spirituality isn't a religion. They've inserted that into your
Right.
relationship because it goes man, then it goes uh, uh, Jesus and God, or however you get there. As long as you figure out God's there. Religion likes to jump in the middle and mess everything up.
Yeah,
And
I had a friend who, he was from the tribe, and he said, yeah, he gave up being Jewish when there was no money in it anymore. So,
oh, that's fun. Oh, that's great.
yeah,
Yeah. So here's where I'm at. So then I get to this position where I can't convince anyone, and I won't. I won't try to honestly push anyone. Everyone has their own path, but my particular path, I had things that happened to me that are indisputable as to me realizing he was there. So, but that was me, and because of that, so now here's my thing. I've never had an experience where I've talked to God, um, where I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to kill me." And when I see that in the Bible, that's how everyone describes it when they get that moment. It's like it's almost too much, overwhelming.
it was
You
it
just
was for me for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I
So
had
that's why I feel I haven't actually had that conversation. I've talked to him and he's listened to me. I know that. Um,
well, I certainly had prior interaction with with the creator. And later, as I look back on it now, I can more clearly identify the distinct personalities of Dad and Mom and J-Bro. I experienced them differently. And to be honest, the direct contact and direct communion with Dad is more rare. And certainly, at least a couple of experiences of what I would say are kind of almost physical manifestations of it were some that very few people that I've talked to have experienced a similar thing. Again, I don't know why he chose to do that. I don't think it's any, like I'm special or anything. It just it's part of my experience, right? So, but I have talked to other people who had again a similar experience, and they described almost a very same thing in terms of visually what they saw and like kind of what they experienced. But again, the conversation, as always, was primarily limited to between us. I mean, it's it's not like he said, "Go." The Lord says, "Go do this and go let my people go." Right? That conversation did not occur. Just in case anybody was wondering, but no. But it was when he did show up. I mean, I was uncertain of what was going on, and then I realized what it was, and then my head almost exploded. It was terrifying to begin with until, in fact, I don't think the fear actually left until he did. I mean, the conversation lasted just a few minutes, but the fear was like, even after he left, it was like my heart was pounding and I was sweaty and just like, oh, did that just actually happen? Holy shit. But the sense of enormous love and compassion that overwhelmed was amazing, right? And so certainly something I'll never forget it. I mean, that
yeah.
first one occurred when I was like 17, so a very long time ago now.
And see, that's the thing, because I know this is a topic on some people are I don't know how to say it, but there's a thought process that if you actually believe the Bible and that it has merit, or also that the stories are true, that I'm caught in some kind of loop of some matrix of my own doing. And you know what? Whatever, it's possible. Who knows? But here's the reason I don't believe that is just because of the things that I've experienced. And again, like you say, I haven't had any. God told me to say this. No, I've experienced it, and either one of two things: either I've gone crazy, which there's plenty of people who say that. I have not been diagnosed with anything, but they can say what they want. And but here's the thing: it's I had an experience with seeing something in real time with someone else, and we both saw it, and it was not something you can explain. in the reality that we were taught. So either we're both on the same psychotic break, which is possible but doubtful, or it happened. So if it happened, you can't convince me it didn't any more than I'm going to try to convince someone it did. I can't say to you, hey, what'd you have for breakfast, Baldini? And you'd say make an egg on toast and a beautiful coffee. And I could say, actually, no, you didn't. I couldn't argue because you were there and you know what you had. It's the same kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's kind of my take on the whole thing. And why I don't often speak of some of these experiences. I mean, I've had numerous experiences where I've interacted firsthand with both light and darkness, and they were extremely powerful and meaningful to me on both sides. However, those are things that people are often either uncomfortable with, or people want to know, like, everything about, right? And people are very, very interested. And for me, again, most of them are very personal. Frankly, I mean, I don't mean to be dismissive, but frankly, most of the people that tell stories like that, when I listen closely, I don't necessarily believe them. And I'm very open-minded, right? I mean, I'm very open-minded to certainly all things, including and especially things of a supernatural nature. But most people, unfortunately, when they tell those stories and they offer those stories willingly, typically there's, I would say, less to them than what they're offering, right? And
it's also written in the same book that you don't go around saying, "Oh, I had this experience and let me tell you what happened," kind of thing. I mean, you could, but it's frowned upon, I guess, is the word I'm trying to think of, because at the end of the day, the relationship that you have with God, or I have, or anyone else that's, whoever's still listening, once they found out it was me, whatever relationships you have with God, that's your personal relationship. See, he doesn't want to know, oh, what does the truther community think, or what do the Christians? No, he wants to know, okay, Baldini, I made you. I'd like to see what you think about what's going on. Hey, Sea Fan Man with your weird name, I'd like to know what you have. I want to have a personal relationship. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? That kind of thing. So whatever happens to me or you or whoever in a realm of spirituality that you can't explain in the quote real world, that's our own experience, and it actually doesn't need to be broadcasted. The main thing is the love and the understanding that we were given to show that he's real. We have a duty, and that's the thing. I was reading about it in Ezekiel. If someone has this information and they don't tell someone and they go down a wrong path, that person's blood's on your hands. And so you have to make an effort to tell people. And that's what I did with my channel, or I am still doing. And that's sort of what you and Wayne are doing here. So.
Yeah, it's Ezekiel 33, the watchman on the wall. Absolutely. And that has been a reminder to me over and over, right? That if you see danger coming and you don't warn people, then and they're caught, then their blood is on your hands. But if you speak to them and they don't believe you, your hands are clean, and it's up to them. So. Yes, Ted, I have the same experience. I want to get in that water and go surfing. But yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is that this is again part of why I'm very reticent. Well, for a lot of reasons, right? And very reticent to again be very evangelical or whatever in my views, is because it's what is it to me? If the only reason I would be interested in someone else having this relationship, again, it's not like win souls for Jesus or whatever. It's not my thing, but it's certainly people that I care about. I would want them to have the positive, profound results that I've had, and I certainly it has been life-changing for me. But on the other hand, again, my experience is so directly personal that almost the entirety of my conversations with the Creator in all three forms is almost entirely about me. I mean, and that's not a narcissistic thing. Really, it has to do with their training of me. And so there's a lot of interaction specifically dealing with how to strip myself of those unhealthy coping mechanisms that I developed over time because of the way the world is, and that we get wounded and we try to compensate for that. And so we become the self-made man. And so a lot of the relationship has to do with them stripping those things away. And as they have reminded me that the only reason that process can be painful is when you don't want to let go. So that is largely my experience with the Creator, having to do specifically with, I would say, their parenting me is the best way I can describe it. And so that's not necessarily really anybody's business, right? I mean, I'm certainly transparent and an open book, but I also have boundaries, right? There's just some things it's like that's not really anybody's business, right? I mean, if there's something that they need to know or would help them better understand, I'll take it under advisement, whether I'm comfortable in sharing those things or not. But for the most part, again, I don't mind talking about stuff, but I don't have a story to sell. I don't have anything to sell, I guess is what I want to say. I would very much like for those people I care about to have the kind of transformational experience that I've had, and one of the best things is that you just know that you're not alone and that your life has purpose. Even if you don't fully understand it, you know that it does. And so that gives an enormous amount of peace and tranquility and purpose to your life that you just can't get any other way. And so I would absolutely want that for people around me. And I think that if everyone did have that, the world would be a much better place. But it's not up to me to, as we've certainly seen in the truth movement, for example, it's a great opportunity to view that. You just cannot bring people to it and make them eat from that bucket, right? It can't be done, and they usually resent it if you try. It's something that people just have to come to on their own when they're ready.
Man, your voice is just hypnotic. I was just like, forgot I was on the show for a second.
Yes. Listen only to the sound of my voice.
Is that I was not spiritual at all. I wasn't very religious like my kids and stuff. I really didn't. We didn't do that. I think it's just our generation. Most of our kids, they're spiritual, and they're just very caring, loving kids, boys, young men. But we never took them to any organized religion, and I think that helped me because. Once I had started going down these rabbit holes where I was watching these different videos, I started learning that the news was fake, all of it. So then I started finding my information on the YouTube, Twitter, and so forth. And when I saw all these videos, didn't matter what I was watching, they all ended up with a battle of good and evil and God and Satan and all that. And I just kept asking my wife, that doesn't make sense. Why do everything we look at end up there? And so then I decided I'd check out the Bible for the first time. And once I started reading it and then connecting it to things that are happening, it started to freak me out. And I was like, maybe there's some merit to here. Because whatever you believe the Bible is or isn't, these stories were written because, like I think you've said, supernatural things happen to these people to the point where facing great peril, they made sure that they got it marked down and written down. And pass down these stories because the Bible, if some of it's been changed, we know that that's been altered. But like a friend of mine that's Pakistani, he gave me a copy of the Quran. I'm looking through that too, and it's interesting. A lot of stories connect. Yeah. And when you look at some of the Greek lore and the Romans, it's all connecting. So like something happened with a bunch of people, and some of them were giants, and some of them were this, that, and the other. Homer and the Iliad, it goes all the way back to that. So a bunch of people with different opinions were all, quote, watching and discussing the same events. So at some point, even a skeptic would have to say, okay, something went down. I mean, we're still doing it today. That's what the superhero movies are. It's the same characters over and again. Yeah,
you'd have to be a conspiracy theorist. I mean, a coincidence theorist, right? To imagine that so many different cultures over time, irrespective of what you believe in terms of the timeline that we're given and the stories that we're told, certainly there are many records that are at least ancient. We know that that provide very similar, eerily similar accounts.
Yeah. So then once I started going down that path, and then of course I had my own experience, and that's when I was like, whoa, there's something going on here. So what I've always tried to encourage people, and I think I do a soft sell, because my channel was weird. I started out doing just videos where I didn't even show my face. And then I started getting comfortable with
Why
just
would you
going,
do that?
yeah, right.
I mean,
Imagine
doesn't that
what's
mean you're a
people.
shill, right? If you don't show
Yeah,
if you don't show your face, doesn't that mean you're a coward and a shill?
exactly.
Okay,
But then
so
there's some people that get away with it. Russian Vince gets away with it for a decade or whatever. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, I've heard this famous saying that was, you pick the meat off the bones and you throw away the rest, kind of thing.
yeah.
So that's the way I look at all these channels.
Well, I think
Um,
I think one of the things that's interesting that you've said that I really appreciate, and I think I've seen to be true for a number of people, is that you didn't really have a religious upbringing, and from my perspective, for a lot of people, that's a great place to start because you have nothing to defend or unlearn.
yeah, no, you're right. I didn't have a position of anything like that. You're right, and that maybe did help. Um, but that's the thing that I just when I present my side of it or whatever it is that I do, I was just like, look, I got to a point in my life that I wanted to know if he was real, and I specifically asked when no one was around, so that way no one would think I'm losing it, and he did. He showed himself, but it's not like it's a magic trick. You can't just like, okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, you here? Oh, he didn't show up. That's not it. Yet you actually have to want a relationship, and you have to bring it from your heart and really mean it and really say, okay, this is it. I can't deal with whatever's going on my own. Let me know that you're there. And when you do that, be shocked. If he doesn't show up, then hey, what did you lose? Because what I'm learning is if I follow the teachings, say, of Jesus, what is this? It's love God, love yourself, love thy neighbor as thyself. Don't cause any harm to other people. I mean, that's pretty much it. You
Pretty
can
much.
pretty much put everything in that. So if I'm wrong, what's the big deal? And if I'm right, well, I'm really glad I hedged that bet because if
Yeah.
that is all true, I want to get on the right out of here if that's the way. So.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem, and this is again a tickly subject for a lot of people. I found, certainly that people in the truth community tend to be a little bit more open, especially those who have discovered an alternate cosmology. So to speak, that they go, hey, wait a minute, that implies that this is a created place, and that means a creator. That's the logical antecedent to that. And so with that, then a lot of people are opening up their mind to the possibility of there being a creator. But when it comes to the idea of Jesus, and a savior. A lot of people struggle with that, and I think again for good reason. In part because it's Jesus Christ, and that's Christian, and there is according to the teachings of Jesus, there is something of a mutual exclusivity there when he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody comes to the Father but by me." And a lot of people get pretty butthurt about that. So what you're saying that people that don't take Jesus, Muslims are going to hell? I don't know that.
No.
That's not what. That's not. I don't think what he said. But what he did offer is a way out, and it's a if the boat is sinking, and he's saying, "Hey, I've got this lifeboat. Get in it." And you're like, "No, thanks. I'm gonna swim. I'm good." That seems it seems to be.
Well, it's something that you said, and I connected to what I've said also, is that whenever I do something, like I'll make a joke in front of some of my boys when I'm talking to my wife, and she knows I'm kidding, but she'll laugh, they'll laugh, and then I'll look at her and I'll go, now, your results may vary, because I just happen to have someone that appreciates my sense of humor, but
Yeah, right.
someone else probably wouldn't get the same response, and it's the same thing. It's like, this was my path. Now, my path, I didn't realize was going to include Jesus, because I was always taught, he was just a prophet and don't read the Bible and whatever. So I'm not pushing that, because you said, or it could have even been Wayne, if you find your relationship with your Father, with the creator of everything, then do that. And don't get hung up in finding Jesus. Because once you actually connect to God, you can ask him, and he'll take care of that
I agree.
once you've made that connection.
Yeah, that's, I think, a conversation we had earlier this week. Actually,
Yeah.
is that, again, I trust Dad, that again, this is not, for me, it's not a belief system, right? That's why I kind of issue Christianity in part because of the negative connotations that go along with it. It's kind of had semantic drift in terms of what it means. It's become a religion, but also that I don't know. Again, it implies a belief system, a religion, and I don't have a religion like that. It's not even though I trust very much of many of the things that, again, found in the Bible, because it confirms what I know. That's not really the way I got here.
Yeah.
Right. And but what I understand, and because it's a relationship for me, right? So it's not a belief. It's not like, oh, I believe these things and I have to believe this, and these are the order in which it goes. It is a relationship. It's an interactive, living relationship. And so as a result, then when I read things in Scripture and they confirm that for me and they go, yeah, that's true. Yeah, for the most part, that's true. Right? Or, you walk your path, right? So those are the kind of different things I've come to trust, again, both my Creator and my ability to listen to them. And that is something that has taken a great deal of time, is to be very clear on who I'm listening to and what. But to that extent, what I understand, the way the things are, is that if you do make contact with your Creator, and it truly is the Creator, He's not going to deny His Son and what He did. Right, and that He took enormous risks to help save you, to give you an opportunity to close that gap. And I just don't think He's going to go, yeah, you don't need to know Jesus, right? Don't worry about it.
I thought that was a beautiful way of putting it, because it's like some people, like you say, they get hung up, and I get it. Like my friend, I love this man. He's Pakistani. He's obviously Muslim, and but they're so close, is what I believe. It's fascinating to me. Everyone gets bad press, right?
Yeah.
The Christians get bad press. The Muslims get bad press. I mean, even one of your quotes, 99% of Christians make the bad news for everyone else.
Give the rest
like
a bad
that.
name, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like even truth channels, we're guilty of it too. It's like we get upset if somebody is like not being open to listening to other people and stuff. And so then they talk about the Bible and they go, you can't believe this. This book was written by men. And then my response to that is, well, the information that you're quoting to prove this book is wrong was written by men. So it's like, how do you throw one book out and not the other? And the God that I believe in, He could fix that book. I don't care how many people have messed it up. The message is in there. That's where I believe. I mean, He can do everything, but He can't get the message in the Bible even when it's been corrupted.
And I've been thinking about that the last couple of days. Is that in a way it's almost another litmus test, right? Which is if you have a belief system and you go with the Bible, right? The Bible and the Bible alone and King James Version, right? Then you're going to miss it. Whereas again, if you have that relationship, He can guide you around those parts. So it really is a matter of trusting directly in that relationship. And this is a kind of conversation that we had earlier this week, where I had told you, about some experiences where Dad told me to do some stuff that would be prohibited by Scripture, if you want to put it that way. And the people around me in church got really butthurt about it, and they were very condemning about that, and not trusting, from what they saw, right, that that I do have a living relationship with Dad. I mean, they'd always appreciated that before, and then suddenly I say, hey, I think Dad's telling me to do this, and they. That, oh, you would never say do that. Okay, well, let's go back to the story of Abraham, right? He's the father of 3 religions. What, according to the book of Hebrews, what was imputed to him as righteousness was his faith. And what was that faith displayed as? His willingness to commit human sacrifice. Okay, what does the Bible say about human sacrifice? Well, it condemns it, right? So that's a product of Baal and Moloch. Don't sacrifice your children. And yet, that's exactly what Dad asked of Abraham in order for him to show his trust. Now, again, he didn't allow him to do it, but ultimately, he was willing to, right? So had he said, oh, no, that's prohibited, I can't do that, right? So that can't be God, right? Because he would never ask that. That in and of itself is was the big linchpin in their covenant. Right. So when it comes to that, I think, again, the whole thing is ultimately about your ability to connect with the Creator and to listen closely to what the Creator says. Because my suspicion is that when push comes to shove and when we get down into the thick of it, that your decisions are going to have to be made by your trust in what Dad tells you to do, even if it is counterintuitive. Right, and again, perhaps even against what Scripture may seem to say, and in those cases, I would say, well, again, we have this, we have evidence that Scripture, the Bible, has been in some places nudged or altered a little bit. So again, it's all about your relationship with the Creator. And that's my take on it. Right, I'm not judging anybody else, but
at the end of the day, I would agree 100%. It's like if I'm going to get some kind of sign or guide from God. And if it goes against that book, that's fine. I don't care. It's going to do as long as it's within His laws. Now, anything God tells you, obviously killing your child, man, I don't think any of us would have passed that test. I still have trouble with that one. But you know what they say, a sacrifice isn't a sacrifice.
Unless it's a sacrifice. Right.
That's right.
But I think, yeah, but I do think, again, honestly, you say few of us would pass that test. I agree. But on the other hand, I would like to think that, again, with the direct nature of that relationship, and if you read the context of what happened leading up to that, I think it depends largely on your ability to trust in the Creator, right? And that that you're hearing from Him. Right, so it's not just.
I guess if he's listening right now, I'll just say, you know what? If that conversation ever comes up, I expect to have like at least a month conversation about the ins and. I'd like to sit down and have a chat before I actually have to do it.
But on the other hand, if he said, hey, first he said, hey, go out and stack some rocks, right, and build a little altar there, and then okay, so take one of your goats, right, sacrifice it, and you're like, oh, okay, if nothing else, at least I get some goat dinner. All right, so I'll do that, and you set it out there, and then he sends fire down from heaven to light it up, right? That'd be a good indication. You'd go, hey, right? So I mean, he definitely had some indication that he was not just dealing with a voice bouncing off the inside of his head. And for me, that indication often is right that it is not just my own thoughts or ego, is because he is way smarter, way more everything, much smarter, much bigger, and the very definition of love in ways that I can barely even comprehend. And so this is demonstrative to me that this cannot come from inside me, right? And it's not that I am not God, right? And I always find that that's the biggest problem with most religions is it tries to lead you to a form of apotheosis, right? Or enlightenment, and that you are going to become this enlightened, advanced being. And the problem with that, again, is that if you're God, the world can never be any bigger than you. Right, and we have limitations, and so when I see the inverse of that, when I trust in a Creator who is bigger than me and way bigger, and then I'm again comfortable and confident that He's got things covered. And when He changes me in ways that I could never do myself, again, I know that I'm dealing with something outside of myself. It is certainly not coming from just inside of me, and these are not just reflections of the cosmic consciousness or whatever that's pinging inside of me. Right? It's not just a connection with the zeitgeist, if you will. It is a personality and behaves in every way like a personality. So
I guess you're right, because when I think about it, it's we put our thoughts into those stories back then, but what they saw and experienced was on a level we really, at least I haven't seen, and I've seen some crazy stuff. So the fact that I saw some crazy things and found God, I guess at the level that Abraham was dealing with, I can see it. So, okay, you've convinced me.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So, I mean, it's weird because we get to this point, and what you see on the screen right now is really close to what I saw when Dad showed up. To describe it, it was kind of this blue, shimmery light stuff. So this is, it's just kind of weird that it showed up in my playlist here. That is pretty much really similar. I mean, say 70%, pretty close. Way more intense, of course, and but definitely something that I couldn't explain there at the time. So, so again, I haven't had the experiences, of course, that Abraham or Moses had. I haven't had that, burning bush literally, but I have had contact with, again, supernatural presences, and again, both for good and for ill. From my experience, these things are fully legitimate, and for somebody to tell me that it's what's going on there, man? For somebody to tell me that is nuts, yeah, it's totally you. But for somebody to say that, oh, that's nuts, or you're just making that up, or whatever, it's like, okay, you have every right to believe that. But from my experience, I know it absolutely to be true. And my wife and I have had these conversations as well, right? Like, okay, so if I were to sit down with a psychiatrist, and I were to answer honestly the questions, and in the way that they ask them, right? If I answered their questions honestly in the way that they asked them, they would probably want to lock me up. All right, do you hear external voices? Yes, right. Do you believe you have special knowledge or whatever? Well, okay. Insights, okay, fine. You believe the world is flat? Okay, right. Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? They'd want to give me some, Thorazine or lithium or something. So it's often been said when you talk to God, it's prayer. When God talks to you, it's psychosis. But that's.
So my wife's listening and writing that one down.
That's right. That's not been my experience, though. Right. So, in any case, I'd just say that personal experience is a huge part of this whole thing. And that's why I have no interest in telling people who are friends of mine, that, and good people, right, that are not walking the same path as me, that they're doing wrong. Who am I to say that they're doing wrong? They're walking their path, right? And I just trust that, hey, if they're looking for Dad and they find him, that's going to work itself out, right? He's big enough to manage that, and he's big enough to tell them what he wants to tell them. It's not my business. If he tells me to tell them, I have to work that out and go, okay, I think he's telling me to tell you this, but that's so rare. The only times he's ever told me to tell anybody something is that they already know him, and he's just giving me something to confirm to them what he's already told them and they're struggling with. That's been really the extent of him ever telling me to tell anybody something. Is he's just telling me to in a way that confirms for them, because they hadn't told anybody. And he said, hey, go tell this person this, and I sacked up because it was really scary, and I said, hey, I think I'm being told to say this to you. And they drop their teeth and go, holy crap. How did you know? And I'm like, I don't know anything about it. All I know is that I was told to tell you this. And so it was just a way to confirm to them what they were already what they already kind of heard. They were just struggling with it. And that's been my entire experience of he says tell somebody something else, but never have I been told go say, you sinner. That's
right. Well, again, I think that's what I was saying earlier. I get off on tangents, but the whole thing about representing people. I mean, the different movements are representing people of color or people of different backgrounds, and they represent them just like the Muslims we were taught were just trying to all kill us for decades and stuff, and now apparently it's the Chinese and the Russians again. I don't know, but it's like the same thing with the Christians. Once I started saying things that supposedly are connecting to Christians, like I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, then I'm supposed to then be that guy that gets on a street corner with a megaphone and says you're all going to hell, But no, that's not. I thought those people were crazy. I mean, some of them probably are still, but that's not me. What I've always told people is once I started figuring this out, my life started getting better. In ways that I didn't even imagine. Yeah. And now it's with the world crashing down, we're struggling with some things going on in our family and stuff like everyone else. But overall, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Why am I the happiest? Because I figured out where I live. And once you figure out where you live and you're not hurtling through space, where you're all confused, you want to talk vertigo, picture yourself doing that. Whereas once you find out, no, wait, you live on a flat, stationary surface, and God's right above you, and you're not going anywhere. It changes your life, and it gives you such peace. You don't worry about asteroids or any of the garbage that's going to fall down on us, or scarcity of oil and natural resources. I mean, we're supposed to believe oil comes from fossil fuels when why isn't oil then like $10,000 a gallon? Because are there still more dinosaurs being produced? It doesn't make sense eventually when we run out.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other subject. But,
It's just
but you know what I'm
proof.
saying?
It's just
Like
proof that
it gave
everything
me
that we're.
such peace, and it told me who I am and where I am, and that's the thing that I just tell everyone. This works for me. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can take that quote if you want. I didn't make it up.
I'll do
But that's just it. I'll say, hey, look, I've told my kids multiple times, okay, one of two things. I found God and everything's just gotten incredible for me right now. Or I've completely gone crazy and everything's doing great for me right now. Either way, I'm still happy. So there you go.
Well, and that's what again I told in conversations with my wife about she's like, well, is it possible, right, that you're a little nuts or whatever? I'm like, yeah, I've considered every possibility, but see, I don't otherwise demonstrate evidence, any other presentations of those kinds of things. So I've kept everything open, right? Because I try to have an open mind to everything, right? Including that I'm nuts. But as it turns out, I don't have any other presentations that would agree with that. So and there's the result of it profoundly changing my life in a tangible way. And over time, again, she's come to see that there have been things that she's got no other word for than miracles, right? That he has helped us get through some things that were not only remarkable but miraculous. And there's no other way to describe those circumstances and those the outcome of what happened. So again, she's pretty much on board with something's going on, right? I mean, there's definitely something happening there, right? And so these are the kinds of things where what's my stance on numerology? Well, okay. So it's a great question. I'll just a little interjection here. If you go to my unintended consequences, there's two specific episodes. One is called Out of Nowhere. And there's a part 2 to that I just recently did. But in terms of numerology itself, so overall, here's my take on it: is there is an interconnectedness of all things. All things are connected to one another. We might think of it as like the luminiferous ether, but that's probably just a part of it, the electromagnetic media soup in which we live. But there is a connectedness, the way the universe is made through the direction of Dad. And there are potentially ways to I don't know, measure that, right? So if you have a Geiger counter, you can tell if something's supposedly radioactive. In the same way, using forms of divination, right, would be like the tarot card or numerology, the I Ching, casting entrails, tea leaves, all that sort of stuff, are potential ways in which to see different aspects of what's going on right now. Numerology would probably be one of those things as well. I think it's built into the fabric of the universe. We're also told in Scripture to be cautious about it. And so, to the Jews, they were told to avoid divination, right? But on the other hand, it's exactly what the high priest did with the Urim and the Thummim and with the ephod. It was a tool of divination to understand the will of God. And a way for him, and they cast lots, right, like constantly. That was a way to do it. That's a form of divination. So while it seems kind of talking out both sides of your mouth and a little bit hypocritical, I think that the trick is, or at least the danger is, if you're looking for answers, right? You can go, you're casting your intention out there and saying, hey, I'm looking for answers. So let's say you grab a Ouija board, right, to find answers. Well, somebody probably will answer you, but that's not likely going to be Dad. He has a different way of approaching it, which is just to talk to you directly. You don't need that intermediate tool. So in a similar way, if you're looking to cast cast intention to get answers, there's going to be somebody there willing to answer those questions, but probably not Dad. And so it's an open doorway to things that you probably don't want to have happen. On the other hand, again, it would appear, if you look at it closely, that even the first, like if you look at the Bible code, right, in the way that it's written in the original Hebrew, the first few chapters of Genesis especially, are written in such a way you would need a computer to work that out. So is that divinely inspired? I think probably. I think Dad knows all these things. I think the fact that numbers are embedded everywhere, and you see the Fibonacci sequence everywhere in nature. You see the golden ratio and pi and phi. This is again by design. Those things are there by intention. So can you see things with that? Yes. What's the nature of how you're doing it? If you, I think there is a danger in looking to that for your source of information solely, rather than just ask Dad. I think it's so much so much simpler just to go, "Hey, Dad, what's up?"
I agree, because I related to this story. When I was a kid, I was 13, and I convinced my mom, I lied to her, and said that I wanted to go see this. I think it was like some Snoopy movie. I don't know what it was. And I snuck in. She dropped me off, and I snuck in to see Alien, the original, and it was a great movie, but I went home and I had nightmares for days after that because I wasn't ready for that kind of fright. That movie was really frightening. I was by myself. There was no one in the theater. It was the middle of the day. And but my thought on that is this same thing. Yeah, you can get a hold of something in the spiritual world, but like you say, you don't know who's talking to you. And anytime that I needed to know anything now, God will let me know. And if I don't need to know, then maybe I'm not ready for that information yet. Because if you get information from someone that's not, has your best interest, or maybe it's information that you really can't handle, it can mess you up. And I think that's why he tells us to caution us to not try to do those things.
Sure.
Because I do believe, like you, that they really do stuff.
Yeah, and I think that there's, again, there's stuff, for example, if you look at gematria, and you can certainly see relationships between things. I think there's interesting stuff there. And again, my take on it is that there are many things that... I've said before, when it comes to the powers that be and the things that they do, it does seem sort of crazy. But on the other hand, it's not that I just, again, pulled it out of my butt and wanted to believe that they do that. It's their behavior that they have things that they believe. So what's... I can't deny that they believe certain things because they're acting upon those beliefs, right? So one of the things that they do, they find, power in certain numbers, and they use those numbers for spell casting and for a variety of different things. So is there power in those things? Yeah, I think absolutely. Is there some connectedness with gematria? Yes, and I think at a level that probably most of us don't really fully understand. Now, again,
I don't think we ever will, honestly, because it's obviously, as it says scripturally, we're dealing with principalities and spiritual world. We're not dealing with men. We couldn't have figured out, like you said, the Fibonacci pattern that's in everything, and like you said, the Bible numbers, and this gematria thing. Which, by the way, if you're my friend, my God, watch out for my enemies. You took my name, Stealing Fan Man, on a live stream and basically said it's all these horrible things, which I didn't know, But that's just it. We were handed these stupid languages. Nobody told us about anything, and we don't even know what we're saying half the time. A lot of these words are just all messed up or muffed up, as Jen says. It's just there's so much that we don't know. And just the fact, like I'm listening to, Crow episodes where they're, depending on when you sign something, whether you're using capital letters or whether you're using script versus printing, or, there's all these different things that mean things that we don't understand, the admiralty laws and all that. But it's not like man could have figured all this out. They've had help from some other area.
I agree with that it's not a bunch of nerds with slide rules sitting in a back room and encoding all these things into news stories, right? And I think there are two aspects there. One is that some of it is by design, and the other is that there is just a natural, organic relationship between certain things that, again, we don't quite fully understand. I think that those powers that be probably do to a much better degree, and certainly the powers that rule the powers right, they definitely understand, and they're using that to their advantage. Here's my take, is that I don't necessarily need those things in order to function the way I ought to, right? So again, getting into gematria, for example, once I got into it a little bit, right, it's like you start seeing patterns everywhere, and that begins to distract you, right? So I see these numbers that appear everywhere. Oh, this and this and this, and like, what does that mean, right? And so when you kind of get into that, functionally it distracted me from doing the rest of my life. When really, again, what Dad was trying to show me is if I just trust in Him, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Can I be aware of it? Absolutely. Does it tell me? Does it give me good information when I see, 33-year-old guy with an 11-year-old? I mean, when I see those things, I go, okay, I know what's going on here because I know who's behind it, because they're playing that game. I don't have to. Right. And so what I have to do for me is to, again, focus on my relationship with Dad, and I can let him handle it. So all the stuff that I don't even understand or pretend to, again, I go, okay, I can be aware of it, but I don't have to delve too deep into it. I don't have to practice magic to understand the basics of how it works and to see that there are people that are using it to their advantage. But they're also, for the most part, counting on outside help to get those things done in a way that's more effective for them, right? And so I don't have to do it myself to appreciate that it's happening. I can be aware of it, right? So information is just information. It's what you do with it that really makes the difference. And from my perspective, it's I don't want to say it's meaningless, but it's majoring in the minors to me, in a way that, again, if I major in the majors, that is my relationship with Dad and the kind of person that I am, right? And if I can better represent the nature of the Creator to the best of my ability, because that's who He designed me to be, then I'm doing well. If I do other than that, then I'm not doing well, irrespective of whether I know all the numbers and can do the math in my head, or whether I'm familiar with a bunch of different things. It doesn't really matter, because ultimately I'm responsible to Dad for the things that He gives me. Now, again, that doesn't mean that other people can't be told to get really into it and to be aware of it and to spread the word on that, right? So just like the guy out there on the street corner with the megaphone and the sandwich board going, "The end is near," who am I to say that Dad didn't tell him to do that? It seems a little unlikely, but it's possible. I keep everything in the realm of possibility, right? So who am I to judge another person's journey? If that's what if they're having a relationship with Dad and Dad tells them to do something, okay, right? It's just not what He told me, and I think that's a comfortable place for me to be. Is that again? Why should I judge anybody else? On the other hand, I can certainly say, and I wouldn't say judge, but be aware and be judicious and have good discernment when people behave poorly, and I see people intentionally try to mislead others, or they behave in a way that's clearly not consistent with the nature of the Creator, then I can say, yeah, it doesn't appear that they're having a relationship with the Creator, right? And if they say that they're leading you to God, I'm going to wonder about what kind of God that is, because it's certainly not the Creator I know. Right.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like maybe I just realized I revisited. I said I'd never be that guy in a soapbox, but maybe that's what this is, being on these channels. Because otherwise, what is the reason I even have a channel, honestly? Because I know this information. I could just deal with it myself and just sit here and figure it out with my own family. But once you get this feeling, you just feel compelled to try to tell other people what you're feeling. So I guess I have become that guy that I used to tease or make fun of, the guy telling, hey, if you find God. But again, I'm not doing it from a place of anything other than love, because especially the people that I know, and like you say, if I see them going down a wrong path, I don't go online and say, okay, I'm going to call out this guy and this guy or that guy or whatever. I don't do that. What I'll do is, if I hear things that I don't believe are proper teachings and maybe leading people away astray, I'll go on my channel and I'll say my beliefs in the ways I was taught. And then it's up to whoever's listening to decide who they want to listen to. Use your own discernment like anything else. Nobody has to listen to me. I'm shocked anyone ever has. I mean, I do these. If I used to get excited, like 10 people watched my video, and my wife and I, we'd all be excited, and that's fine. And I don't mean this in a negative way. If my channel went away tomorrow, it wouldn't bother me. But what would bother me is the people that I've made connections with. And there's people out there, and you get them to Baldini, they email you and they say they're alone. They don't have any support around them, and they think they're going crazy. And if it wasn't for channels like this and people talking about this, that it gives them it gives them hope, it gives them a reassurance there's more people out there. And it's encouraging. So that's why I do it. But am I trying to say you're going to hell and convert people? No. I'm just saying, hey, if you're interested with a little humor, this is what I think. and take that information as you want. And that's all I do.
Oh, good.
I talk a lot too.
Oh, good. No, I just got a notice that said we've detected copyright audio and video in your stream. It may be temporarily blocked. I'm like, oh, awesome sauce, because again, all the content is either license free or it is my own. I've gotten copyright claims on my music before, that like the noodling that I do when I start. So it's like I'm not even playing songs. It's literally improvised. It's literally extemporaneous, and people have put copyright claims on it. So we'll see what happens. So far, I've been able to get them to let it go, but they could put a hold on it for as long as they wanted, actually. And I've had, they try to monetize it and get money. It's just weird. And then all the video clips are license free, and I've already, or licenses paid. So there you go. I'll just claim that right now and go, all right, suckers. But again, it's interesting. But I have seen, there's a couple, I've gotten comments at times from people who think I'm coming after them. And it's like, why would you assume if I comment on certain ideas and I say that may not be the way, and you come to me and go, you're talking bad about me. What makes you think I'm talking about you? I'm just talking about the idea. If you're teaching that idea and something that I say I don't think is the way, okay, maybe your conscience is telling you something. But I'm not picking on anybody. I don't think I've named any names other than, one troll who was being, garbage. So, and I didn't even, really comment much more than that about, oh boy, right? So, yeah, it's not like that. I'm never going to do a hit piece on anybody. That's just not how I am. I might. It's even rare that I call out things as being, bad or whatever. Again, I just try. I would much rather say, give an opportunity. Like as you said, here's a contrast. Okay, you can teach your thing, and that's fine. But here's another way. Right. And for me, I'm always going to say, don't you have to listen to me. Go to Dad. Ask Dad. And if people are uncomfortable with that, if people say that that's wrong teaching, then again, from my perspective, you're going straight against Dad, and you better, you better. I mean, again, I'm not just going to say anything more than that. But if I say you go to Dad for the answer, and and then you say that's the wrong way to go. Okay, I don't know what to say about that. That's all I do is go, hey, it's my encouragement that you go talk to Dad yourself, and everything you need you'll get from Dad. I can encourage you. I can give you my experience, and that's about it. So beyond that, if there's a problem with what I teach. And I don't even consider it teaching. I just express my views. I encourage people to talk to Dad directly and say that is an option that is available to you. I highly recommend it. Beyond that, there you go.
Well, that's the thing. It's like no one can tell you, what is it? I think you said this too. You can't talk me out of my experiences.
Yeah. And
that's all it is. So I go on my channel. I tell you, these are the things I'm thinking and I'm experiencing. But it's funny because we got into this new type of TV now. It'd be like if you were watching, I don't even know TV programs anymore. Let's say you're watching in the back of the day MASH, and you didn't like something Hawkeye said. God, how do you remember these names? And then you pick up the phone and you call NBC and you're like, hey, I don't like what they were discussing on it, and here's what I think about it. You know what I mean? It's like maybe some people did that, but that's kind of where we're at. We come on here and somebody can go on here and say, these guys are full of crap. Well, that's fine. You can say that. You can do a hit piece channel. You can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, you can always use the station and you can unsubscribe if you don't like my stuff. I don't make money off you. I don't know how many people do. I don't make any money on it. I do it because I felt compelled to talk. And one day when I feel that I've talked enough, then I won't do it anymore. But it's not because I was forced out or doing anything nefarious. I've just maybe got talked out. I don't know if that's ever possible, but maybe it'll happen.
It seems unlikely. I'm just going to say.
Takes one to know one, Baldini.
Hey, man, I'm telling you what, for sure, I have a reputation, and it precedes me. I am nothing if not loquacious, that's for sure. All right, so we've come now to the top of the hour, and I think let's try to bring the plane in for a landing, because we could, as we say, just go on ad infinitum. But let's be respectful, and we have Bitches Brew is coming up. Karen B, I think it's on her channel, or at least you can find information about that. So I want to give space for them, for all the tribe to make their way over there. Do you have any parting words or any last thoughts that you want to share, Ceiling Fan Man?
First, I just would really just once again thank you for this opportunity. I feel it was a mistake, but it was a happy one.
I don't think it was a mistake at all, man. I love talking to you, and
you were trying to call someone else and you accidentally hit me, but that's fine.
I frankly couldn't. Again, I can't thank you enough for being here. The conversations we've previously had. It's like, we should record this, because I think people would get something out of it. So in that sense, yeah, it's very much like the conversations we've had offline.
Well, I hope people have gotten something interesting out of this, and all I would go with is at the end, I would once again reiterate, look and see within your own heart, if you truly want to have a relationship with God, if you haven't found him, so find out if he's there, ask. As it says in the scripture, he's outside the door, he's knocked, he's just waiting for you to open the door. Just see if he's there. Then if he shows up, then you can ask him all your questions about who's real. Is it Jesus real? Is Abraham? Ask all that stuff. Get that connection first. The rest of it will fall into place, and you'll figure it out. And that's where I guess I will end it. And thank you.
No, that's perfect. I agree completely with that. That if you want to know, just go ask Dad. That's going to be all I ever have to say is if you want to know if any of these things are right, things I say, things Ceiling Fan Man says, things anybody says. If you want to know if it's right, go ask Dad. And if you haven't talked to Dad before, I encourage it. If you don't know Jesus, you can use that name. I found people who don't follow the way of Jesus have positive experiences when they're in trouble and they call on that name. But they say things happened. So again, I encourage it. I would say if you try it out and you say, "Hey, show me if you're real or not," right? I think most people have a positive experience there. So if not, I would say just again. I don't. Again, there have been times people have said that they asked and they didn't get anything, and I don't want to say, hey, check your heart, but I do feel like a little bit there's some motives there, right? In terms of like, okay, prove to me you're real. I don't know that he's that interested in that. I think again, just like you, he wants that relationship, and you don't want to see somebody come up with a chip on their shoulder, going, yeah, prove to me that It's like. I don't know. I don't think that I would appreciate that much. So just consider the way you would with somebody you want to date. Put on your best outfit, and go on a date with them, and give them an opportunity to show you who they are. That'd be my encouragement. And so with that, hey, CFM, it's great talking to you, and I'm sure that we'll continue to have you as not only a guest, but you and I will continue this friendship and the conversations. A lot of great stuff, and I love your. Your sense of humor, it's so like mine. I'm giving myself away now, but for sure, you got a great sense of humor. I love your videos. And there's you do such a great job of encapsulating even some of the things that I say and take an hour and a half to say. You can do it in 5 minutes. I'm like, why didn't I do that? What's wrong with me?
I'm the guy that takes like the smart people's conversations and then kind of dumbs it down with some funniness so other people can understand it, because that's the only way I can talk.
But I think you do a great job of encapsulating again, because mostly what I do here, even though it's not what I had intended. I had intended to sort of script it out and make it thoughtful things that we could put together. And what's happened, for one reason or another, it's turned into this much more, again, extemporaneous sort of stream of consciousness thing, which again, sometimes runs long, and I can't stand to listen back to it. I'll listen, I pause and I'm like, and I'm trying to think. But ultimately, if you guys stick around, if the message is there and it appeals to you and it helps you, then that's what I'm here for. So with that, again, thanks so much for joining us. So apparently, Bitches Brew is on Rose 777 2.0 channel, on her backup channel. And again, you can join Rose and I on that same channel Tuesday and Thursday morning for Poppycock Report. So as always, we'll be back with that. Of course, you'll catch me again coming up on next Saturday. I'll be here with more Unintended Consequences. So with that, I'll say good evening. Let me find this. And these are all the ways you can reach out to me if you like. Unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. You can also write to me directly at P.O. Box 2248, Lynnwood, Washington, 98036. And if you're so inclined, you can make my wife feel better about the time that I spend with you instead of her, hit me up at paypal.me/greatbaldini if you like that. It's just a way to show your appreciation, but I also appreciate just your cards and letters and thoughts, and that really helps my heart as well. And so with that, we'll say goodnight to Ceiling Fan Man. I'll talk to you again in just a moment, sir, as I wrap this up now. And again, if you guys want to reach out, I love it. Feel free to do so. We hope to hear from you again soon. Let me see if I can find some outro music here that you can listen to as we say goodbye and wrap it up, so it's not just a strange end. I think I was going to do this one. This is Streams in the Desert with Joe Ray. Well, he was co-songwriter on this from 1994. Have a good evening, guys. Thanks for joining.
Close my